On this channel we normally give you the historical context and above all the location of where we are. Today for the first time we're not going to do that for reasons which I will explain very shortly.
Oh, don't forget, this video is sponsored by the good people at HelloFresh. More on that in a bit.
I think I've actually found it. Wow, this is it's quite a treat. It's warm work under here. Now what I will tell you, if it's not already obvious from the title of the video, is today we're looking for a Roman villa. Now when I normally say that, I normally point at a field and say there was a villa just there. This time I'm going to show you the remains, the flooring and the mosaic of a Roman villa in the landscape. And the concern is it's not being looked after. I just think it's probably right to do that. I mean, if you know, you know, so fine. But for me, I don't want to sort of be responsible for everybody turning up and not treating this place with a bit of respect. If you find it, you find it. Crack on. Well, I think I'm heading in the right direction. If
Whoa, before you go and see this wonderful mosaic we have not told the good people about.
HelloFresh, this week's sponsor. Big thanks to HelloFresh because there's something, a product that we use all the time. In fact, we've got a delivery turning up today, I think.
Yeah.
What is HelloFresh, Rebecca?
It is a meal-based subscription service with a huge amount of meals and genuine flexibility.
So the first big benefit for us is it allows us to budget for a week's worth of meals or so thereabouts. Because we used to end up spending a fortune going down our local Tesco's at the bottom of the road. And of course, with that in mind, it also saves us a whole load of time.
It does, and also there's quite a wide variety of meals to suit you and your family, and you can set up the deliveries to your convenience.
Combine that with the fact that we're now eating a whole set of well-balanced and healthy meals. That kind of just happens by the fact that you're using HelloFresh, which is great. And I've also learned to cook over the last few months because their instruction sheets and packaging is all kind of labelled perfectly, so you can't really go wrong if you just follow it step by step. It's a wonderful thing.
So we're saving time, we're saving money, and we're having a well-balanced meal that suits us and the family.
So if you sign up to HelloFresh using the links in the doobly-doo below and use the discount code PW60HF, you get 60% off of your first order and then 25% off of the next 8 boxes.
Or you can click on the QR code that's just snuck in here.
Okay. Oh. Right, I am going to disappear off and go and find this mosaic.
Hold on. Rebecca to dive off into a hedge?
That's what it says.
All right then. Bye.
Onwards. So in 1877, the landowner here, who owns probably about 25 acres of everything you can see behind me, well, they found an old building. It turns out it was pretty obvious it was Roman because of this beautiful mosaic on the ground. And within about 4 or 5 years or so, the person that owned the land called in some antiquarians to do a dig. And they did just that in 1882. The map today is pretty essential. I've already walked a kilometre from right at the top. Now right at the top of this ridge is a Roman road. I will cover that one day in the future, but I've already descended about 100 metres and around about a kilometre. I've got another kilometre of walking to go. There's sheep, isn't it? Well, I've just passed the lowest point of the journey today. I'm heading back up now towards the villa. It's a bit difficult to explain without showing you on a map, but you'll forgive me for this once, not showing you the exact location. Like 2 different brooks converge there, another one down to my right. Now we're not far at all. I feel like we're close. Now, by all accounts, there's another, well, there were two buildings. There was the main villa and there was a barn found as well, maybe 30 metres from the villa. I feel like we're close here because square shape here on the floor, very, very long line here, right down by my side there, of moss covering masonry, and then we've got a deeper bit the other side of it, straight long line there. Could be an old wall for all I know. This is the trouble, but we've got a deeper bit that side. Right, according to the map, I am actually on site. Remains of, see a line down there, and you can see a clear line off in that direction in the vegetation again. Now, the reason why you can't see at this point mosaic everywhere, because the landowner back in 1882 said, well, it needs preserving, so we're going to move it to the local museum and castle and bits, and they transferred all the mosaic back down there, but they did leave quite a lot here. And that then, for the next few years after that dig, well, that became rabbit strewn, everything, badgers, you name it. That became a problem and it started to ruin it, and there remains today only a bit left because the landowner then walled up what was remaining of it. I think over the years it collapsed and was rebuilt, but there's a lot of rubble. I'm stood in a pile of rubble everywhere here. Well, I guess in some ways the fact that I can't find the mosaic is probably a good thing, because I was going to suggest that it needed protecting, because when you look at the pictures online, it's beautiful and well in the open. But I guess now this time of year means it's completely buried. But I've been looking at for maybe half an hour. Lots more stonework on the ground there, some large bits of masonry which go in line with where I think the building was. Just a scout down this pathway here. I think I've actually found it, which is good. Right, all the walling there, this was what was built, I think, to protect it, but it fell down, and in there is obviously what we're looking for. Wow, this is quite a treat. What a joy. Right, well, it is way out in the sticks. It's off of the pathway by quite some considerable distance. It's camouflaged really well. It's protected by some canvas, which could be better. It's not an attraction here. You wouldn't find this just per chance if you didn't know what you were looking for. Parking is probably about 2 miles away or thereabouts. It's quite some walk to get here, so it's not as a concern as I thought it originally was. Okay, so I filmed that 2 weeks ago and I intended to just leave it there. I found a Roman mosaic. I was happy that obviously everything else was looked after back at the place where they put it after excavation. It turns out it's not necessarily the case, because that was a bit of an impromptu visit for me. I was on the way back from holiday, jumped out of the car, went and had a look. Bit more research since then, and there's one of two things to consider. Number one, the actual mosaic that you saw was just a Victorian reconstruction, so it wasn't original per se, but still was Victorian in terms of it's laid out in front of you there. That's good, and that does need sort of preserving, even though it's only 140-50 years old. Problem number two, the rest of it is in a place called Sudeley House. I told you I wasn't going to give away the location, but on second thoughts, it's so far from anywhere that if you're going to go and see that, well, you're probably the sort of person that cares as much about it as I do. There's no parking for miles around that area, and the walk is at least 2 miles, and goodness me, it took it out of me walking back up that hill afterwards. Now apparently all the original mosaic was lifted, taken to Sudeley Castle up near Winchcombe. Apparently it's no longer there. Nobody can seem to have a record of where it is. It was supposed to be in a greenhouse, it was supposed to be in a conservatory, it was supposed to be here, there and everywhere in this castle, but apparently it's not. So where exactly is the original mosaic? So maybe we should be looking after the mosaic that's still on the floor in those woods, albeit it's a 150-year-old reconstruction.
Well, thanks for watching, and thank you to HelloFresh for being our sponsor this week. See you guys next week.